don't want to miss out on the relationship series. Today we are going to be talking about one of the most important relationships that you could possibly have. I think this should have been number one. However, I just threw these relationships out there. But relationship number one, first and foremost, is a spiritual relationship. You gotta have it. Now, I personally believe in God. Now, you don't have to. You don't have to. We can be different. However, you have to have a spiritual relationship. So whatever higher power you believe in it wholeheartedly. That's you. Today we will talk about God, okay? And a wise person once told me, for any non-believers out there that's just strictly like, no religion whatsoever. A wise person once told me that for people who say they don't believe, you have to believe. Because if God isn't real or there's no such thing, you wouldn't even know the word. So, God is real. Okay, let's just put that out there. God is definitely real, and it's until you actually build a relationship with God that you actually start to see God in your life and things that you pray for and stay consistent in, etc. God is definitely real. God is needed in your life. Again, whatever higher power, it's needed. If you believe in it and you have faith in it, then you know what I'm talking about. It is needed. And for anybody who isn't a believer at this current moment, or you're just lost, or like, I don't know, like, where to go, how to start, I got mixed feelings. Trust me. It takes time to build that relationship. You don't just wake up and you're like, oh, I believe, or whatever. You don't wake up like that. Like, you have to actively be seeking God, asking God to show his face, asking God to be a part of your life. And until you do that and really make the strides to stand firm in him, then you're going to feel that way. But don't feel bad, because you're not alone. Nobody is perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. I am still learning. I am still striving to be what God see me as. I'm trying to be more like Jesus. So it's a journey, and again, I am still learning. So don't feel bad if you don't have it all together, or you're not the perfect Christian or whomever. Don't feel bad. It's okay. But I'm here to tell you that you gotta have a connection with something spiritual. You got to stir that pot up in order to grow and be healthy for yourself and for the people around you. Because if you just out here wilding out for the world, doing everything that the world do, baby, you have these people that believe, and it seems like their world just tumbling down. And then you got people that are non-believers and their world is just blowing up. First off, stay in your place, stay in your lane, because we don't know what's going on in their lives and what's causing that, or whatever they're doing to get to where they are. We don't know. However, what I will say is, people who believe and you see them actively putting themselves in the word daily and striving to better themselves, people who believe do tend to have a lot more hits come against them, because as you grow in faith, God is going to throw those tests at you as well to see if you're going to continue to have faith. And more than likely, they come out on top times 20 because they kept that faith. Now, people who are out here that are non-believers and they just out here wilding out, but they got everything that looks good coming to them, or what they present is good, it's all good for that moment. It's all good for that moment. But you never know when that life thing, that traumatic thing or whatever hits, and everything is gone in a blink of an eye. So it's important not to focus on others and what they got going on, but focus on you. Focus on your mental health. Focus on your soul health. Get that spiritual connection that is so needed to grow and enhance within, so you can be a light to the world, and a genuine light, not just out here doing it because I'm saying to do it, or doing it because your mama do it, or your father do it, or your grandmother did it. Do it because you want to identify who you are. You want that connection and be able to grow organically and healthy. Do it for you, because a spiritual relationship is so necessary. It's so necessary. I will tell you, there have been times, and when I started YouTube back in 2019, there's a video out. I think I titled it How to Deal with Stress or something like that. I talked about those really down moments in life, those times where I had suicidal thoughts and just depressed and helpless. Like, those were moments where I doubted God. Those were moments where I felt like giving up and I didn't amount to anything. I didn't know why I was here. Just struggling with everything. And in those moments, at my lowest, there was a sweet aroma that came. And every time I think about it, I get a little choked up because, and I got choked up in that video, because it's undescribable. And it's in those moments when it's like, I could be the worst person on earth. Lord, in this moment, I didn't even trust you. I didn't even believe in you. I've been doing everything self. I've been so selfish. Hadn't been thanking you. Hadn't been praying to you. Haven't given you none of my time, but yet you still are present. You are still helping me. It was this sweet aroma that I can't even tell you what it was. And it was a voice that I never heard. But it said, let go. Let go. I got it. And in that moment, all the way up till now, when I feel stressed, when I start putting things on me, and it's me, woe me, I got it, I gotta do it, I'm like, wait a minute. You see where you ended up when you started doing everything for yourself. Slow your roll. Remember whose you are. Give it to God. And when I do that, I feel a weight lifted. I feel relief. I feel like I can breathe again, And so that's what I mean when it's so important to have it, because when you don't have that spiritual relationship, you can be selfish. You can put everything, it's me, I'm doing this for this person, that person, da. When sometimes you just got to lift your hands and pray for that person. Sometimes you got to lift your hands and pray for yourself, because that's what's going to get you over. And I know a lot of people, it's like seeing is believing. But in a spiritual connection, a deep spiritual connection, you ain't got to see it. You just know that you already taken care of. And so you move day by day with faith. And it's so, so important to have faith. Faith. You got to have faith. And I can't say it enough. Because without faith, life don't move. It don't move. If you don't believe that something can happen, what happens? You stay stagnant. You just stay there. It's when you get that plan, like, hey, and you start seeing things happening, is when you get that drive. And that's what spirit is there for. Spirit ain't gonna feed your flesh. Spirit's gonna feed your soul. And until you start feeding your soul, you may never connect with spirit. So it's so important to start somewhere. Nobody's perfect, baby. When I started praying, I was like, them old little kiddie prayers, I said them for years. The prayer that I used to pray. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. I used to say that all the time, and sometimes I still mix bits and pieces of that in my nightly prayer. But prayer has advanced because, you try to grow. So my prayers aren't the same, but that simple prayer I used to say every night, you can do that too. Start somewhere. There's a prayer for everybody, and it's called the Lord's Prayer. Say that prayer. Say that prayer until you start to identify what it is that you need to pray for and how to pray for it. When you get to that point, then you can say other prayers, but you just gotta start somewhere. And like I said in the motivation dedication video, if you haven't watched, go check that out. But like I said in there, just talk to God. Talk to God like God's your best friend, and just say, I'm tired of this, or I need this. Help me to get to this place in my life. Thank you for waking me up. Thank you for getting me home safe. Thank you for keeping my family safe, my friends safe. Just start small and then add a daily devotion. There's a Holy Bible app that you can actually download to your smartphone device and start different plans. If you're working on healing, if you're working on getting saved, if you're working on understanding the spiritual realm and who to follow, what religion to follow, there's plans on that. There's plans on anxiety, stress, how to handle it. And it's not all about the word, because that is one thing too. When you're in church and you get them pastors that's just like, oh, yeah, and they just reading from the Bible, I don't understand. So I can only imagine to someone who's just beginning, you probably like this ain't for me. You have to find someone who can break that word down and teach it and not just say it. So also look for that if you're looking for a leader, a pastor, or someone to guide you. But yeah, go to the Bible app, download those plans, and they usually last 3 to 7 days. Some of them are longer. Just look at them and say, hey, I would like to learn more about this. And it's literally regular people like me, like you, who are just talking about their situation or breaking down how to forgive someone and etc. So take a look at that. Definitely, if you're on a growth journey in your spiritual path, check out the Holy Bible app. It's a brown Bible, has a little red bookmark. Download it. Start your plans. You can make them private, you can make them public, and share them with your friends. Whatever you want to do, start a little study group and just start somewhere, because it's 2021. And if 2020 didn't teach me anything, it was to get closer to God. Because y'all, death is still all around. No matter how much we want to ignore it, not even just with the pandemic, it's people die every day. You don't know when it's going to be your last day. You don't want to be 30, 40, 50 years old like, I'm gonna get saved. I'm gonna get saved. And then as you're on the way to get saved, you die or something. You haven't had that experience. You haven't even tried Jesus at all. At least try. And in that trying, ask God to remove any blockage so you can be acceptant to what you need to hear. Because if you go in just like, I already don't believe, you're not going to get anything and you're not going to grow. You have to have that open mind, that open heart. So that word or whatever you are feeding yourself is going to feed your soul. But yeah, death is all around. And if you sit at home and just was like, oh, we still going to cope, we still going to party, and you ain't take no steps and just say life is too short, I honestly would rather die today knowing that I'm saved, knowing that I built a relationship with God, and die and there is no God, than to live my life however I want to live against God's word and die and I'm in hell burning. I don't like the heat. I can't stand the heat. I do not like the summer. I like the summer for the clothes and everything else, but fall me, winter me, please. I can only imagine. So just give God a chance. Whatever culture you're in, whatever higher power that you guys worship or whatever, give it a chance. Don't stray away from it because you may have had a bad church experience, or the people around you are hypocrites and they're just not getting it together. Don't look at any of that. Focus on yourself. Because if you really want it, you will either remove yourself from the hypocrites, or you will better yourself to help the hypocrites that you want in your life, etc. So just try it out. Don't pay attention to the church and the pastors and things, because my thing, guys, we are not to judge. And at the end of the day, pastors are human. Their job is the word. What goes on outside of that word is for them to deal with. It's not for us. Now, you should definitely be very picky over who is speaking over you. Don't let it be no crazy stuff. But also, let the human, what they have going on at home, be that. Allow your mind and soul to connect to whatever they are speaking from God's word, not what's going on in their personal life. Now, if the church is stealing money and doing this and doing that, you may not want to sit up under them, okay? If the congregation is just loose and wild and their lives aren't changing at all, you may not want to sit up under them. But there are plenty of pastors still out here, good pastors. Maybe not the churches that are around you, but there's YouTube. Hello, right here. YouTube, where you can connect to different churches and really get connected in. There's so many pastors that teach different ways. You got to find what connects to your soul, because there's something out there for everybody. Don't say it's not for you until you actually put your all into it and you try it. Because again, you don't want to miss the boat and it's too late. It's too much going on in this world to not have some type of connection. So get it together. Get it together. Spiritual relationships are everything. They are needed. That is the number one relationship that we have coming into this world. You already had spirituality to you. You just kind of ventured off. So you got to get back. You got to get back. And you will. You will. I tell you guys all the time, I'm not going to preach on my channel or nothing like that. However, you will hear what I believe in. I'm sorry if you don't like it, but that is just me. I am not the perfect Christian. I will never sit up here and try to be. That's why I didn't base this channel off of that, okay? But I will say that I am a human and I am working to better myself in my spiritual relationship with God, period. And that will forever be while I'm here on earth, period. Last thing I want to leave you guys with, and I'll check my notes. I say last thing, it may not be, y'all know how I am, but my first experience getting saved, it was, I was young. Most people will probably be like, were you really old enough to make that decision? I consider myself to be one of those old soul kids that, knew what was going on. I may not have talked a lot when I was young. Y'all, my mom used to be so scared because she was like, "You so quiet." But I don't think she's scared no more. But no, like I was very observant and I probably understood a lot more than people would have thought. And in that moment, I think I want to say I was in the third grade, 8 years old, 7 or 8. And the church that I was attending at the time had a service called Undertaker, and my sister actually, who is 4 years, it's a 4 years difference between her and I, and she actually walked up first, and she turned around to the congregation. Whole church was full. I mean, balcony, floor, everything. She turned around. She said, "Y'all don't want to get saved?" And when I tell you, I ran up there and stood beside her because, you know, what we had just experienced was just like, whoa. And pretty much in a nutshell, it was a play called The Undertaker. And it was kids our age, it was older people, it was people in high school. Their lives were played before us. The high schoolers, they did drugs, they did alcohol, they were sleeping around with people. They had the elderly man that was just cussing out people and being real rude and nasty. Just different things going on. And then you had a guy that was just living life how he needed. He was treating people right. He was all about his family. You know, even the moments that he did slip up, he asked for forgiveness and it never happened again. Like, he was just a great person. And the high schoolers and everything, they were coming home from a party one night, they wrecked. And 3 of them died, I think, and 1 was alive in the hospital. But the 3 that died, the devil came up, y'all. And I don't know how to this day they made the floor look like it was deeper than the floor, but he jumped out and it was this fire that came out of it. He grabbed them 3 and they went into the pit. And then there was God in the book of life, and the guy that was doing everything right, he died eventually. And God said, "Your name is here. You know, you can come in." And they opened the gates for him to come in, and it was so beautiful. Like, y'all, how they played it and painted it out, you would have been like it felt so real. I believe the whole church got saved. I really do. Like, we were there for a long time after that, talking about it. Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing." You would have gotten saved. Now, in between time, of course, nobody's perfect. Me and my sister had our ups and downs again. I tell you, when you get older and life starts to test you, if you don't have that grounding to you, and you lose sight of God here and there, you can stress yourself out. You can lose focus. You can stray away from God. And so there were moments that we were like, whoa. But you always come back. Once you have that heart to heart, you always find your way back. And God is always there with open arms. That's the beauty of it. No matter how bad you mess up, no matter how bad you want to put your tail between your legs and just be like, God is there with open arms. That's the beauty of developing that spiritual relationship with Him, because you're always going to have someone to fall back on. We came into this world alone, and we're going to die alone. No matter how tight you try to hold on to your friends, family members, co-workers, etc., nothing or no one is going with you. All you're going to have is your soul, the thing that's living inside of flesh that you care so much about. That's all you're going to have. And it's so important for that piece to have a connection. Because if it doesn't, and I know it's a lot of people, I believe it when I see it, keep that mentality. I don't want to know where you may be. Give God a chance. Give God a chance. God is dope. It's all in what you make it. I know a lot of people be like, if I get my life right, I'm gonna have to cut out everything that I've been doing. Not necessarily. What have you been doing? That's so different than what God says to do. I mean, what are you doing that's gonna be so bad that God can't forgive you? I know some really dope Christians, and we have fun. So, I mean, to each his own. If you feel like you gotta be perfect to come to God, that's already a red flag. Nobody is perfect. You should not walk into a church and are they looking at you because you knew, like, you shouldn't have to experience that. And if you are, you're probably in the wrong house and you need to leave. Find the house that is doing what they're supposed to be doing. All that stuff, that's not God-like. God does not judge. God uses broken people. Hello.